Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to welcome you to today's presentation. We will be exploring the topic titled, Why Freemasonry is Not a Religion. This is the first slide, so I'd like to start by giving you a quick overview of what we'll cover. We'll look into the key differences between Freemasonry and religion and clarify some common misconceptions. So, let's get started and delve into understanding what Freemasonry truly is. Today, I will guide you through some fundamental aspects of Freemasonry, starting with its core principles. We'll explore what makes Freemasonry unique, including how it differs from traditional religion and the role that belief plays within its teachings. It's important to understand that Freemasonry often involves misunderstood elements, so I'll clarify some common misconceptions. We'll also look at how Freemasonry relates to the concept of God, which is a key part of its philosophy. Additionally, we'll examine the broader cultural impact that Freemasonry has had over the centuries. Finally, we'll conclude with some reflections on what all of this means in the context of our overall understanding of the organization. Welcome to our discussion on Freemasonry. Today, we'll explore the fundamental principles that underpin this ancient fraternity. Freemasonry is built on ideas like brotherhood, moral development, and personal growth. These core values guide members in their daily lives and in their interactions with others. Next, we'll look at how Freemasonry differs from religion. While both deal with spiritual and moral questions, Freemasonry is not a religion, nor does it replace religious faith. Instead, it encourages members to seek personal enlightenment and moral betterment without prescribing specific religious beliefs. We'll also discuss the role of belief within Freemasonry. Faith is important, but it's more about a belief in a higher power or a supreme being, rather than adherence to a particular doctrine. This openness allows people of different faiths to come together under shared moral principles. Now, let's address some common misunderstandings about Masonic teachings. Many people have misconceptions, often influenced by myths or conspiracy theories. In reality, Freemasonry promotes ethical conduct, charity, and the pursuit of truth, values that are sometimes misinterpreted or exaggerated in popular culture. We'll examine how Freemasonry relates to the concept of God. Members are encouraged to believe in a supreme being, but the specifics are left to individual interpretation. This inclusivity helps foster respect and unity among diverse members. Moving on, I want to highlight the cultural impact of Freemasonry. Over centuries, it has influenced art, architecture, and even societal ideas about democracy and human rights. Its symbolism and teachings have left a lasting mark on many aspects of culture. Finally, we'll conclude with some reflections. Freemasonry is a complex, multifaceted organization that emphasizes moral integrity, brotherhood, and personal development. Understanding its principles helps us appreciate its role in history and in shaping ethical societies. Let's take a moment to explore the origins of Freemasonry. It actually started in the late 1500s and early 1600s, emerging from local guilds of stonemasons. Over time, these guilds evolved beyond their craft, transforming into a fraternal organization that emphasizes moral and ethical growth. As we move through history, you'll see how Freemasonry developed from these medieval guilds. It began blending philosophical teachings with moral principles, creating a system that encourages personal enlightenment. Importantly, it distinguished itself from organized religion, promoting ethical conduct and self-improvement instead. Now, when we consider key figures like George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, their influence is quite significant. Both of them helped shape Freemasonry's core principles, especially during the Enlightenment era. They supported ideas of reason, liberty, and progress, but also made it clear that Freemasonry remains a secular, non-religious organization. All of these elements, its origins, evolution, and influential members, highlight how Freemasonry has been a movement dedicated to moral development, personal growth, and the pursuit of knowledge, which ties directly into the overall theme of our presentation. Let's take a moment to address some common misconceptions about Freemasonry. First, many people think of Freemasonry as a religion, but that's not quite accurate. Freemasonry is not a faith-based system. Rather, it's a fraternity that emphasizes moral values, personal growth, and community service. It's about building character and helping each other become better individuals, rather than following a specific religious doctrine. Next, we should talk about the role of spirituality in Freemasonry. While it encourages personal spiritual growth and ethical living, it's not organized religion. Instead, it provides a framework for individuals to explore their own beliefs and values without prescribing a fixed set of doctrines. Finally, let's consider the concept of secrecy within Freemasonry. People often associate secrecy with religious practices, but in reality, Freemasonry's secrecy is mostly about safeguarding its moral teachings and personal development processes. It's not about worship or dogma. It's about creating a space for moral and ethical growth. Understanding these distinctions helps us see Freemasonry for what it truly is, a fraternity focused on personal and moral development, not a religion. Let's now explore the introduction to Freemasonry and its core principles. Freemasonry is often misunderstood, so it's important to clarify what it truly stands for. Its fundamental principles include brotherhood, moral uprightness, and the pursuit of knowledge. Unlike many think, Freemasonry is not a religion, but it does emphasize spiritual values and personal growth. We will also look at how Freemasonry differs from organized religion. While religion often involves specific doctrines and faiths, Freemasonry is more about moral philosophy and ethical conduct, welcoming members of various faiths. The role of belief in Freemasonry is quite nuanced. It encourages members to believe in a higher power, but it does not prescribe any particular religious doctrine. Instead, it promotes personal faith and moral integrity. There are also elements of Masonic teachings that are often misunderstood. Some see secret rituals and symbols as mysterious or conspiratorial, but these are primarily allegorical tools used for moral lessons and personal development. Freemasonry and the concept of God are closely linked, yet approached broadly. The organization respects all monotheistic religions and emphasizes the importance of a supreme being, but it leaves the interpretation of that being to each individual's faith. Finally, the cultural impact of Freemasonry is significant. Throughout history, it has influenced art, architecture, and even political ideas, often promoting values like liberty, equality, and fraternity. In conclusion and reflection, understanding these core aspects helps us appreciate what Freemasonry truly represents, an enduring pursuit of moral excellence and brotherhood beyond superficial misunderstandings. Let's talk about some of the core beliefs that underpin Freemasonry. First, brotherhood and charity are fundamental. Freemasonry really emphasizes the importance of mutual support and helping others through charity. This creates a strong sense of community and moral responsibility among members. It's important to note that this sense of brotherhood is not tied to any religious doctrine, but rather to shared values and support. Next, we have the emphasis on moral and ethical conduct. Freemasonry encourages members to live with integrity, serve their communities, and pursue truth. It's about building character and personal development, focusing on moral principles, rather than promoting any specific religious beliefs. And then there's individual reflection. Freemasonry encourages members to reflect on their own morals and spiritual beliefs. This process of self-examination promotes personal growth and self-discovery without imposing any religious dogma. All of these core beliefs, brotherhood, moral conduct, and personal reflection, tie into the larger theme of Freemasonry as a journey of personal development guided by shared values and moral principles. Let's talk about symbolism in Freemasonry. Symbols are incredibly important because they carry deeper meanings beyond their simple appearance. They serve as tools to guide members through moral and ethical lessons, helping us reflect on our values and principles. These symbols also foster a sense of unity among members and enrich our understanding of personal and collective growth within the fraternity. You might be familiar with some common Masonic symbols like the square and compasses. These represent morality and brotherhood, reminding us to build our lives on solid moral foundations and to support one another as brothers. Another powerful symbol is the all-seeing eye, which signifies divine providence and self-awareness. It reflects the ethical framework of Freemasonry rather than religious doctrine, emphasizing a spiritual consciousness that guides our actions. Freemasonry uses symbols not just to teach moral lessons, but to allow each member to interpret their meaning personally. This encourages individual spiritual growth, as each of us can find relevance and insight in these symbols. Importantly, while these symbols hold deep spiritual and moral significance, Freemasonry remains distinct from religious practices, focusing instead on ethical development and personal enlightenment. Now, let's move on to the next part of our presentation, which focuses on the introduction to Freemasonry. We'll explore the fundamental principles that underpin this ancient fraternity, emphasizing values like brotherhood, morality, and personal growth. It's important to understand that Freemasonry is not a religion, but rather a moral and ethical organization that encourages self-improvement and community service. We'll also look at how Freemasonry differs from religion, clarifying that while it promotes spiritual values, it does not require members to follow any specific faith or belief system. Instead, belief in a supreme being is a common thread, but Freemasonry respects individual spiritual paths. Next, we'll discuss the role of belief within Freemasonry. Faith acts as a unifying principle, yet the organization fosters an environment of tolerance and respect for diverse religious views. We'll touch on some misunderstood elements of Masonic teachings, addressing common misconceptions and highlighting the importance of symbolism, allegory, and moral lessons that are often misinterpreted or taken out of context. Finally, we'll examine the relationship between Freemasonry and the concept of God. While Freemasonry encourages belief in a higher power, it emphasizes that the organization itself is not a religion. All these points lead us to consider the broader cultural impact of Freemasonry, which has influenced art, architecture, and social movements throughout history. To conclude, I encourage you to reflect on how these principles and distinctions shape the identity of Freemasonry and its role in society today. Let's take a closer look at the structure and organization of Freemasonry compared to religion. Freemasonry has a clear hierarchical framework, with different degrees and titles that members can progress through. This setup emphasizes personal growth and moral development, encouraging members to improve themselves along their journey. In contrast, religion often follows a more strictly defined dogma and authority structure, where doctrine is set and followed. When we consider governance and leadership, Freemasonry features a democratic structure. Leaders are elected by members, which promotes participation and shared responsibility. Religious organizations, on the other hand, tend to have a more hierarchical form of governance, usually led by ordained clergy or central authority figures who guide the community's spiritual direction. Finally, there's a notable difference in community involvement. Freemasonry places a strong emphasis on philanthropic efforts and personal contribution to society. It's about being actively involved and making a hands-on difference. Organized religion, while also involved in charitable work, often emphasizes doctrine and worship as central to its practice. Connecting all these points, we see that Freemasonry's approach to structure, leadership, and community engagement emphasizes personal development and active societal contribution, which aligns with the broader theme of fostering individual growth and community betterment. Let's explore the rituals and practices of Freemasonry and see how they differ from religious rituals. Freemasonry rituals primarily focus on personal moral development and fostering a sense of brotherhood. They are about improving oneself and building strong community bonds. In contrast, religious rituals tend to center around worship, adherence to doctrine, and establishing a divine connection. These core purposes shape the way each tradition approaches its rituals. Now, the purpose of Masonic rituals is quite clear. They aim to promote personal growth, teach moral values, and strengthen bonds among members. Unlike religious practices that often emphasize worship of a higher power, Masonic rituals are more about moral education and community building. Another important point is inclusivity. Freemasonry welcomes individuals from various belief systems, allowing anyone who shares its values to participate. This openness stands in contrast to many religious practices, which often require strict adherence to specific doctrines, making them more exclusive. So, in summary, while religious rituals are deeply rooted in spiritual and doctrinal practices, Masonic rituals are designed to foster personal and moral development within a more inclusive framework. This distinction highlights the unique purpose and approach of Freemasonry in the broader landscape of human traditions. Now, let's turn our attention to the introduction to Freemasonry. I'll walk you through its fundamental principles, helping you understand what truly guides this ancient fraternity. We'll also explore how Freemasonry differs from religion, emphasizing that while belief plays a role, it is not a religion itself. We'll discuss some common misunderstandings about Masonic teachings, clarifying what they really stand for. Additionally, we'll examine how Freemasonry relates to the concept of God and its broader cultural impact throughout history. Finally, we'll wrap up with some reflections on what all these elements mean in the context of the overall presentation. So, let's delve into these key points to deepen our understanding of Freemasonry's core values and societal influence. Let's talk about the belief in a supreme being, which in Freemasonry is often referred to as the great architect of the universe. This concept is really central to our shared spiritual foundation. It promotes unity among members, regardless of their individual backgrounds. At the same time, it's important to note that Freemasonry is distinct from organized religion. We're not affiliating with any specific faith, but rather emphasizing a universal belief that underpins our principles. Freemasonry also champions religious tolerance. We bring together people of diverse faiths by fostering a shared respect for a supreme being. This creates a space for dialogue, understanding, and mutual respect among different beliefs. It's about recognizing that while we may have different interpretations or practices, we all honor the same core idea, that a higher power exists. Furthermore, we emphasize personal belief. Each member is encouraged to interpret their understanding of the supreme being in their own way. This promotes unity through diversity, allowing everyone to follow their unique spiritual path while still being part of a collective brotherhood. It's this balance of shared respect and individual faith that truly defines how Freemasonry approaches spiritual beliefs. So, in summary, the idea of the great architect of the universe helps us build a foundation of trust and respect, fostering both unity and tolerance across different beliefs, all while honoring personal spiritual journeys. Let's talk about spiritual growth within Freemasonry. The pursuit of enlightenment is a core aspect, and what's interesting is that it encourages us to explore our spiritual development through moral teachings, symbolism, and self-reflection. It's not about following strict religious doctrines, but about personal growth and understanding. When we look at techniques for personal growth, Freemasonry promotes introspection and moral development. It provides a framework that helps us align with ethical principles and seek spiritual enlightenment in a way that respects individual beliefs and avoids religious constraints. And then, there's the influence of philosophy. Freemasonry encourages us to develop our own personal philosophies, ways of thinking that promote self-discovery and living ethically. This approach fosters spiritual growth, but it's distinct from organized religion. It's about finding your own path to enlightenment through reflection and moral integrity, which ties back to the overall theme of personal development and moral betterment that runs through the entire presentation. Now, let's explore the fundamentals of Freemasonry. At its core, it's a system built on principles like brotherhood, moral development, and personal growth. These values are central to what Freemasonry stands for and guide the actions of its members. Moving on, it's important to understand how Freemasonry differs from religion. While religion involves faith in a higher power and specific doctrines, Freemasonry focuses more on ethical conduct and universal moral principles. It's inclusive and doesn't dictate specific religious beliefs, but rather encourages respect for all faiths. The role of belief in Freemasonry is quite interesting. Members are expected to believe in a supreme being, but the organization itself does not prescribe what that belief should be. It's about recognizing a higher power, fostering spiritual development without aligning with any particular religion. There are often misunderstandings about Masonic teachings. Some see it as secretive or political, but in truth, Freemasonry emphasizes moral integrity, charity, and personal enlightenment. The secrets are mainly symbolic, meant to reinforce lessons and brotherhood. When it comes to the concept of God, Freemasonry promotes reverence for a supreme being, called the Great Architect of the Universe. This concept is intentionally broad, allowing members of diverse religious backgrounds to find common ground in their faith and shared values. The cultural impact of Freemasonry is quite significant. Throughout history, it has influenced art, architecture, and even social movements. Its emphasis on enlightenment and progress has left a lasting mark on societies around the world. In conclusion, understanding these core elements helps us see that Freemasonry is more about moral philosophy and personal growth than any secret society narrative. It invites us to reflect on universal values that transcend individual beliefs and cultural boundaries. Let's explore the concept of esoteric knowledge. Esotericism, in essence, refers to knowledge that's meant for a select group of people, often involving mystical or spiritual insights. Unlike exoteric beliefs, which are openly accessible and shared with the public, esoteric teachings are more hidden and specialized. When we look at Freemasonry, it provides us with insights into this kind of esoteric knowledge. The focus here is on personal growth and moral development rather than strict dogma. Freemasonry offers access to hidden truths that are tailored to the individual seeker, encouraging us to explore and discover on our own terms. This brings us to the idea of access to hidden knowledge. Masonic teachings emphasize intellectual exploration as a way to understand deeper truths. Instead of relying solely on religious doctrine or dogma, Freemasonry promotes critical thinking and personal investigation. This approach helps us uncover what might be concealed beneath the surface, fostering a more profound understanding of ourselves and the universe. So, in summary, esoteric knowledge involves a more private, mystical understanding that's accessed through personal exploration and intellectual curiosity, an idea that fits perfectly within the broader theme of seeking deeper truths and self-awareness. On this slide, we're exploring the ritual significance within Freemasonry. Masonic rites are designed to do more than just follow tradition. They serve to impart important moral lessons that help guide us in our personal growth. These rituals foster a sense of community among members, emphasizing symbolism and tradition rather than focusing on religious dogma. What's truly fascinating is how these rituals facilitate personal transformation. They encourage inner growth and self-awareness, helping us develop morally and ethically. Importantly, they highlight a spiritual journey that is unique to Freemasonry, one that emphasizes moral development over religious doctrine. Furthermore, these rites teach us valuable lessons about personal growth, ethical conduct, and the pursuit of knowledge. They transcend religious boundaries, aiming to deepen our understanding of life's mysteries and inspire us to seek wisdom beyond the material world. Overall, the purpose of these Masonic rites is to guide us through a transformative process where we learn and grow through meaningful rituals. These lessons are central to our journey, helping us become better individuals while strengthening our bonds as a community. Now, let's move on to slide 18, where we explore the introduction to Freemasonry. We'll discuss its fundamental principles, how it differs from religion, and the role that belief plays within it. It's important to understand that Freemasonry is often misunderstood, so we'll clarify some common misconceptions. We'll also look at how Freemasonry relates to the concept of God and its broader cultural impact. As we go through these points, I want you to keep in mind the overall theme of understanding Freemasonry as a philosophical and moral system that emphasizes personal growth, brotherhood, and moral integrity. This slide provides a comprehensive overview that ties everything together, so stay attentive as we delve into each of these aspects. When we talk about diverse beliefs within Freemasonry, it's important to understand that the organization embraces both monotheism and polytheism. This means that members are encouraged to hold their own personal beliefs about a higher power, whether that's one god or multiple deities. The key idea here is fostering unity among a wide range of spiritual perspectives, allowing individuals to interpret the concept of a higher power in their own way without being bound by strict dogma. Moving on to philosophical perspectives, Freemasonry respects the many different ways people conceive of God. It promotes personal spiritual exploration, which means each member can seek their own understanding and connection without feeling pressured to conform to a specific religious doctrine. At the same time, it emphasizes moral values and ethical conduct. These are central to Masonic teachings, but they stand apart from institutional religious practices. Finally, the unifying principle is what ties all of this together. Freemasonry's approach is to embrace diverse beliefs about God, but to focus on shared moral development and fellowship. It's about creating a space where mutual respect and understanding thrive, transcending specific religious doctrines. This allows members to come together in harmony, emphasizing the common goals of moral growth and brotherhood, regardless of the particular beliefs they hold. This overarching idea really underscores the universal nature of Freemasonry, where diversity in belief is seen as a strength, enriching the collective journey toward moral and spiritual betterment. Now, let's explore the search for truth within Freemasonry. Freemasonry's approach to truth is quite unique. It encourages each of us to inquire and seek our own understanding of the divine. This isn't about conforming to a fixed dogma, but rather about personal exploration. An important aspect here is the role of doubt. Freemasonry sees doubt not as a barrier, but as a vital part of the journey. It's through questioning and exploring that we deepen our understanding. This approach promotes a universal search for meaning, one that transcends traditional religious boundaries. It allows for personal interpretations of God and spirituality, emphasizing individual belief. By fostering this ongoing quest, Freemasonry helps us develop both personal and collective spirituality, beyond rigid doctrines, focused on sincere pursuit of truth. Ultimately, embracing doubt becomes a pathway to greater insight, guiding us toward a more profound connection with the divine. Now, let's explore the introduction to Freemasonry and its fundamental principles. Freemasonry is often seen as a brotherhood rooted in moral and ethical development, emphasizing values like charity, integrity, and respect. It's important to understand that these principles serve as the foundation for the entire organization and guide members in their personal growth and community service. Next, we'll look at the differences between Freemasonry and religion. While both deal with moral teachings and spiritual values, Freemasonry is not a religion. It does not prescribe specific beliefs or dogmas, but encourages members to pursue their own spiritual paths. This distinction helps foster an environment of inclusivity, where people of different faiths can come together under shared values. Moving on, the role of belief in Freemasonry is quite significant. Members are expected to believe in a supreme being, often referred to as the great architect of the universe. However, the organization remains open to individuals of various religious backgrounds, focusing on common moral ground rather than specific doctrines. We should also address some of the misunderstood elements of Masonic teachings. Due to secrecy and symbolism, misconceptions often arise, leading people to believe in conspiracy theories or hidden agendas. In reality, Freemasonry promotes self-improvement, community service, and moral uprightness through allegory and ritual. Regarding the concept of God in Freemasonry, it is central but interpreted broadly. The organization respects diverse religious beliefs and encourages members to find their own understanding of the divine, reinforcing the importance of faith and morality without endorsing any particular religion. Let's consider the cultural impact of Freemasonry. Over centuries, it has influenced art, architecture, and even societal values. Its emphasis on Enlightenment ideals and civic responsibility has contributed to many social advancements and cultural developments across different regions. Finally, as we conclude, I invite you to reflect on how these principles and distinctions shape our understanding of Freemasonry today. It's a tradition built on moral development, shared values, and a respect for individual belief, an organization that continues to inspire and influence societies around the world. Let's delve into the historical contributions of Freemasonry. First, its influence on American independence is quite significant. Freemasonry played a crucial role in inspiring revolutionary ideals, serving as a foundation for concepts like liberty and democracy. Many key figures in the American independence movement were members, and the fraternity provided frameworks that helped shape their thinking and actions. Next, looking at the broader impact, Freemasonry contributed to the Enlightenment. It fostered ideals such as reason, science, and individualism, which were central to philosophical thought during that era. These ideas didn't stay confined to Europe. They influenced societal reforms across both Europe and America, encouraging people to think differently about governance and human rights. Finally, Freemasonry also played a role in political movements. By promoting Enlightenment principles, it supported the development of democratic governance. Additionally, the fraternity created networks among leaders, which helped facilitate revolutionary changes throughout history. All of these points tie back to our overall theme: how secret societies like Freemasonry have historically shaped ideas and movements that continue to influence society today. Let's explore how modern perceptions of Freemasonry are shaped today. Media representation often paints it as a secretive society, which unfortunately fuels a lot of conspiracy theories. While there's some historical truth to its secrecy, this portrayal tends to overlook the society's true role in community building, cultural exchange, and philanthropy. Public misunderstanding is another key point. Many people think Freemasonry is a religion, mainly because of its secrecy, but in reality, it's a fraternity that emphasizes moral values and personal growth. This misconception can lead to a lot of confusion and misjudgment about what Freemasonry truly stands for. Given these challenges, Freemasonry is actively working to be more transparent. The goal is to reshape how people perceive it, highlighting its positive contributions, especially in philanthropy and community service. By doing so, it aims to move beyond the secrecy and show its real purpose and positive impact in society. Understanding this helps us see how perceptions can evolve, and why transparency and education are so important in fostering a more accurate view of Freemasonry today. Now, let's take a closer look at the introduction to Freemasonry and its fundamental principles. Freemasonry is often misunderstood, but at its core, it promotes values like brotherhood, moral development, and personal growth. These principles serve as the foundation for what Freemasonry aims to achieve for its members and society at large. Next, we'll explore the differences between Freemasonry and religion. While both deal with spiritual and moral questions, Freemasonry is not a religion. It does not prescribe specific beliefs or dogmas, but instead encourages members to seek their own understanding of a higher power. This brings us to the role of belief within Freemasonry. Belief in a supreme being is a requirement, but the organization respects diverse religious views. The focus is on moral integrity and the pursuit of truth, rather than specific doctrines. We should also address some misunderstood elements of Masonic teachings. For many, Masonic symbols and rituals are mysterious or secretive, but they are meant to teach moral lessons and foster personal development through allegory and symbolism. Moving on, Freemasonry and the concept of God are closely linked. The organization emphasizes the importance of faith in a higher power, which is central to its teachings. However, it remains inclusive of different religious backgrounds, emphasizing respect and tolerance. Now let's consider the cultural impact of Freemasonry. Over centuries, it has influenced art, architecture, and even social movements, often promoting ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Its impact extends beyond its members, shaping broader societal values. Finally, in our conclusion and reflection, I encourage you to think about how Freemasonry's principles can inspire personal growth and community service. Its emphasis on moral integrity and brotherhood offers valuable lessons that are relevant today more than ever. Let's take a moment to review some key takeaways from what we've discussed. First, Freemasonry's unique identity is really important to understand. It combines ethical teachings, fraternal bonds, and allegorical rituals, which set it apart from traditional religions. At the same time, it encourages personal growth and upholds universal moral values. Understanding Freemasonry as a distinct entity from religion is crucial. This helps us clear up misconceptions, foster meaningful dialogue, and truly appreciate its rich philosophical and moral teachings without the influence of religious bias. And finally, Freemasonry promotes personal exploration of spirituality and ethics. Each member embarks on a unique journey, which distinguishes it from organized religion and dogma. It's about fostering individual growth while sharing common values. All these points tie together to show how Freemasonry offers a different, enriching path for those seeking moral development and brotherhood. Let's talk about the importance of a call to action in fostering a better understanding of Freemasonry. Engaging in open dialogue is crucial. Encouraging honest discussions about Freemasonry's role in society helps promote understanding and dispels common myths. We want to invite both skeptics and supporters to share their insights. This creates a balanced perspective and enriches the conversation. Next, combating myths is essential. We can do this by promoting education, encouraging open dialogue, and maintaining transparency. When we address misconceptions directly and factually, we help others see Freemasonry beyond the stereotypes and misunderstandings. Finally, fostering open minds is about encouraging exploration of diverse beliefs and practices. By doing so, we promote understanding and appreciation for Freemasonry's core principles. This approach also encourages critical thinking, challenging traditional religious narratives, and opening the door for broader perspectives. All of these efforts, dialogue, education, and openness, are interconnected and vital as we work to build a more informed and accepting community around Freemasonry. Thank you for your attention throughout this presentation. As we conclude, I'd like to highlight the Masonic audiobook library, which represents our commitment to preserving and sharing Masonic knowledge through accessible audio content. The date, August 6, 2025, marks a milestone in our ongoing efforts to expand this resource. I truly appreciate your interest and engagement. Thanks again for being part of this journey.